I should have died that night. 3 years ago, I was cataloging folklore in a forgotten valley in the Black Forest, chasing a story about a mining village that vanished in 1547. I laughed when the old innkeeper warned me. "Kobolds," he whispered, "are not your video game pets." I didn't listen. By midnight, I understood. What crawled out of that mine shaft was not small, not cute, not a companion. It had the eyes of something ancient, and it was not alone. Here is the lie modern culture sold you. Open any fantasy game and you'll meet the kobold. A squat, scaly little nuisance, weak, comic, disposable. A monster you kill for experience, points without a second thought. But that image is a costume. The real kobold of Western European folklore was never a joke. It was a spirit of the deep earth, a being summoned and bound by witches' covens who lived in secrecy inside the old-growth forests of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland for centuries. These covens didn't worship gods. They negotiated with things that lived beneath the roots. And the price for the kobold's help was never paid in gold. The word kobold comes from old Germanic tales of house spirits and mine spirits, but the forest covens twisted that tradition into something far darker. According to the surviving testimonies collected from villages near the Black Forest and the Harz Mountains, witches would perform a binding rite at the edge of ancient groves, calling the kobold up from beneath stone and root. In exchange for protection, prosperity, or revenge against an enemy, the coven offered the spirit something living, a fragment of breath, a name, sometimes a firstborn's shadow. The kobold was not a servant. It was a parasite wearing the shape of servitude. Villagers spoke of strange lights flickering deep in the woods at night, of livestock found drained and cold, of children who returned from the forest different, quieter, paler, speaking in voices not their own. The covens grew powerful through these pacts, but every coven eventually broke. The kobold always collected more than it promised. In Bavarian church records from the 1600s, inquisitors documented entire hamlets abandoned after infestations tied to forest covens, and they used that exact word, infestation, as if describing a disease rather than a single creature, because it was never just one. Where there is one kobold, there is a colony beneath the soil, patient, listening, waiting for the next desperate witch to call them up. So what really happened to me that night in 1547's Forgotten Valley? I followed the legend to an exposed cellar beneath the ruined coven house, and I found the binding circle still carved into the stone, centuries old, still warm. The thing that emerged wasn't gray and cartoonish. It was the color of wet bark and old bone, and when it looked at me, I realized the twist buried in every regional account I'd read for years. The kobold doesn't serve the witch serves the kobold. Every coven thought they held the leash. None of them did. The creature had been waiting in that cellar, not for centuries of abandonment, but for someone new to find the circle and complete it by accident, just by standing inside it. Just like I had. I left that valley before dawn, and I have never gone back. But here's what keeps me awake. Those binding circles weren't destroyed. They're still out there, hidden under fallen leaves in forests across Western Europe, waiting for the next person who doesn't believe the old stories. If you go looking for the real kobold, remember this: it was never the monster in your game. It was always the thing your game was too afraid to show you. If this story chilled you, subscribe, because next week, I'm going back into the archives for the coven ritual no church record dared to fully transcribe. You won't want to miss what they found buried beneath it. The word kobold comes from old Germanic tales of house spirits and mine spirits, but the forest covens twisted that tradition into something far darker. According to the surviving testimonies collected from villages near the Black Forest and the Harz Mountains, witches would perform a binding rite at the edge of ancient groves, calling the kobold up from beneath stone and root. In exchange for protection, prosperity, or revenge against an enemy, the coven offered the spirit something living, a fragment of breath, a name, sometimes a firstborn shadow. The kobold was not a servant. It was a parasite wearing the shape of servitude. Villagers spoke of strange lights flickering deep in the woods at night, of livestock found drained and cold, of children who returned from the forest different, quieter, paler, speaking in voices not their own.